Okay,
Hey,
what's up?
oh man, I'm good, Sean. It's good to see you, brother. It's good to be
Man,
speaking with you.
likewise. Likewise, man. Man, the world is a funny time at the moment, isn't it?
Most definitely. It's so many crazy things going on. It's a it's a wonder we could all keep it together sometimes, right?
Welcome to The Backlog, a podcast hosted by ADAPTOVATE. I'm Sean Woon, I'm the Managing Director of Tribe, a sister company of ADAPTOVATE. ADAPTOVATE partners with clients to accelerate outcomes by implementing new transformative ways of working. We are a global firm with offices in North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia.
Hey, everyone, welcome to the ADAPTOVATE podcast. I'm Sean, and I'm the Managing Director of Tribe, which is a sister company of ADAPTOVATE. Really happy to be your host today. Now, joining me today is Ray Freeman, who is a project lead at ADAPTOVATE based in our LA office. Welcome, Ray.
Sean, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
It's always nice to catch up with you, my friend. Look, as we said, it has been a crazy time, but tell me, how are you coping with COVID-19?
Man, COVID's been kind of crazy. Here in Los Angeles, we responded to it as a state really early. So things shut down early, and which of course caused us to be in quarantine in our houses, in our apartments. And during that time, trying to adjust to being inside, being quarantined, then we had the George Floyd murder happen, and all of
Yeah,
the riots and protests and everything that broke out. It really made things kind of scary around here, actually, man. There was times when we were under curfew, could not leave the house. It
yeah,
was cautious just to walk the dog around the block a couple of times and get back in. There were things that were really close to where we live,
yeah,
that people were getting really passionate about, and things were being damaged. Police squads were just driving around and looking for people, and not knowing exactly who's who. So a scary time for me, of course, as a black man. I don't want to be out and misunderstood as someone else who's causing damage or breaking the curfew, and have my own life in danger. So it was a combination of being afraid of the virus, and the consequences of what was going on in our society, that
yeah.
that really made it a strange time for my wife and I, and people that I know around this community.
Yeah, look, Ray, thank you very much for opening and sharing that with us. I mean, a lot of us through the media, we've been watching what's going on. I think Black Lives Matter, sparking from the George Floyd incident, as well as COVID-19, it was just a recipe, absolute recipe of, a heightened alert around the world, right? Right around the world. So, Ray,
Yes.
tell me, where do you see things going from this point from your perspective?
I think we we have a big choice to make of where do we go from here. Yeah, I remember recently watching a special that Oprah Winfrey did. It was called "Where Do We Go From Here," and she
Yeah,
had some really influential people on she was speaking with, and really just asking that same question: where do we go from here? And what I kind of took from that, and my motivation that I took from that was we go up from here. We go up. We figure out a way to accelerate and use the momentum and the passion that's been created by this moment to accelerate us into a new dimension that we have not been able to explore before, due to the impacts of historical systemic racism and things that have been really crutches that have been on people of color, black people, for so long. So I,
mm,
I think that where we go from here is we go up, man. We figure out a way to accelerate from here.
A lot of that, Ray, comes from the inner spirit that you have, Ray, right? I just want to ask you a question here, Ray. Where do you get
Sure, man.
that positive energy from, my friend?
Oh man, I think my mom was a big influence on me
Yeah,
that that you can make it.
yeah,
For her in the 1970s when I was born, with her being a single mother after her my father, they broke up when I was probably 2 years old. So she's a
yeah.
single mother raising three of us on her
Wow.
own in the 70s, working a blue collar job. So even though I have been able to overcome some of the things of systemic racism
Mm,
because of who I am and the things that I do, I grew up in an environment and to parents who were held back by it. And so even though I had great passion for where I wanted to take things to, I found that I wasn't starting on the same playing field, the same level ground where others may have been. My struggle started at a lower level of like pull yourself up out of this and then try to accelerate. So I think that's what makes it challenging, and what gave me my passion to want to persevere is just seeing her do it successfully, and her being like the person that people looked up to from my family of, Sonya's doing well, and she's got her house, she's raising her kids on her own, she's got a good job, and she was still so compassionate and helpful to friends and family. That that showed me how you're supposed to be as a person, as a human being. And I took that passion, and regardless of what opportunities I did or did not have, it's like I don't care. I'm going to make it. I
yeah,
got something inside of me that's stronger than those things that are against me. So I'm going to make it.
yeah. It a lot comes back down to good parenting, doesn't it, Ray? I
Mm.
mean, having those strong foundation, having that love at home, right? We can overcome a lot of difficulties, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think some of those difficulties help shape who you are.
Yeah,
In my family, there was plenty of love, no shortage of love. Um, but I grew up really fast, so I had to take the reins on a lot of things and grow up quickly. And with that, even though that was a struggle, it also taught me to get ahead in life faster.
yeah,
I mean, jumping out of high school, I was ready. I was like, let's go. Let's hit this world and see what adults do. I was ready to hit the working world and to start climbing the ladder and going up from then. I was just ready. So
yeah.
I think the drive that I saw my mom have, and with my own personal passion, it was a time for me to show what I could do, and I think it worked out okay.
Yeah, man. Look, if I was your mom, I'd be really proud of you, Ray, for all that you have achieved. Look, I want to
Thanks,
sidetrack a
man.
little bit, Ray. I want to sidetrack a little bit. Can you talk to me about the influences of music in your life?
Yeah, man. Growing up in the '90s in Texas, it was rap music, it was hip hop music, and hardcore rap music. NWA, Snoop Dogg. It was straight up music about people who were going through struggles, and
Yeah,
we
yes,
lived in a decent neighborhood. We didn't live in the bad troubled hood, but we
yes.
lived like one street away from it. you know so I knew where it was. I was not far away from where a bad neighborhood or where drug dealers or where things were going on. But when I went
Yes,
home to my environment, I lived in a safe environment. My mom kept a safe home for us. We always had food on the table and everything.
yes,
But I was consciously aware of what was out there. So that music resonated with me about that struggle.
yes,
And I internalized that as it took it on as my own struggle.
yes,
And man, for a while, I started out as an artist. Before I went into this world where I am today. Um, I used to be in bands. I play a lot of brass instruments, including trumpet and piano, and I've written a lot of music. And in the Library of Congress of things that I've published and copywritten. But as I got a little bit older, I started to make my own rap music and make my own labels and albums. So for years, I was in that kind of industry, and I just like making music, being around that whole vibe, and kind of helping people get through their struggles by being able to use my music and my talents to help them get through their challenges. So that was just part of what drove me. It gave me a lot of passion. It gave me a lot of there's knowledge that you can glean out of lyrics in rap music.
Yeah,
it's not just all about terrible things that are going on. There's a lot of wisdom that you can glean from that. And I was able to take that and internalize some of that street knowledge and turn that into corporate knowledge. So blending the two together helped me become who I am today.
Yeah. Hey man, can you share with us some of the artists that you might have come across during your time in music?
Dude, I can remember in 2000, we were in a studio in Dallas, and Eminem, Dr. Dre, and Snoop Dogg were in the Up in Smoke tour. And we're in the studio. Snoop Dogg walks into the studio, and he was just so cool, hanging out with everybody. And we're making music. I'm on the track. Just one of the coolest experiences of my life, man. And I still got the tapes, the audio tapes, the tracks that we made that day.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Pictures with him and MC Breed, with Outkast, just some of the influential groups of the 90s who came through the studio. I was a keyboard player with an artist named Erotic D, and he had the studio and all of the equipment and the artists. So I just kind of got the benefit of being there and being able to perform when they came in. If they need a keyboard track, I'll play the keyboards on it, or I'll come up with the strings, assortment or whatever. So, but yeah, I dug it, man.
Oh, that sounds so awesome. Hey man, let me tell you, I love hearing that because look, as a migrant kid, right, from Malaysia to Australia in the 80s, hip hop became such an escape for us. I personally identified with the hip hop culture, being a minority here at that time in Australia. So the influences and the magic of music that you guys were producing there, I can tell you resonated all the way through to Melbourne, Australia, right? To this little 12-year-old kid at the time. And it was just such a magical world to me, man.
Oh man, that's cool, man. That is so cool. This culture penetrates everywhere, man.
It does, and it keeps on growing, So look, Ray, let's talk a little bit now about the D Ray Freeman model. Can you tell me a little bit more about that model that you have developed?
It really came to me during this time of quarantine in COVID, and just what has transpired since the George Floyd murder. I found myself at a point one day of just being angry, like really angry. And it's like, there's nothing you can do with anger. And, anger is not a good thing to have. When I felt it was so deep and so deep in my heart, I didn't want that feeling. I wanted to be able to do something. Like, what's my part in this? I can't just sit here and watch this on the news. How can I do something towards this effort? And I got up late one night and just started writing things down and coming up with a plan. And I looked at a lot of research of what are the things what's causing this? Like, what is this thing about systemic racism? What is it?
Yes.
And I just really found the pillars of the things that it impacts in people's lives. And for Black people specifically, historically, racism has been used as a way to control community matters, to control economic matters, to control learning and education matters. as well as the health and safety of citizens there. So, myself having a background in consulting and helping large businesses to change the direction of a large business enterprise, I thought about how can I use that mentality towards the community of oppressed people who are feeling this way. Yeah, just like in a big business, you can't just turn a big business like immediately. It's a huge ship. So there's a lot of little levers you have to turn, and a lot of people have to coordinate and work together to make a movement for such a large enterprise or a large company. Typical to the work that we do with ADAPTOVATE. But when you look at it in this way, how can we make these small changes in key areas in people's lives that eventually turns the ship around, that eventually turns the ship?
Yes.
And I just looked at those areas. Those areas are community. How can we impact the community? How do we end police brutality? How do we expand public services? How do we gain political awareness for people who are impacted? How do you become part of the system that is solving the challenges? Get out there and vote. Understand who the candidates are, what their values are, what they stand for. So those are things we want to grow in the community. Things in terms of learning. How do we educate ourselves continuously? Not just to get a degree or go to school one time, but continuous learning is something that we have to accept and bring into people's lives. Gaining expertise in something. Like what is something that is your expertise that you can say that you do very well, or you do better than anyone else, that you can accelerate with.
Yeah.
In preparation for the future, in learning, you have to learn how to prepare for the future. I feel like a lot of people of color, we've been taught, historically that, you kind of graduate and you get a job and you work, and one day you die or stop working or whatever. But
we
don't really have a cultural aspiration to prepare for a larger future, and to put the necessary mechanisms in place to build that future. So these are things that I want to impart this knowledge to, and kind of change the mindset and enable people with the tools and techniques that are necessary to get ahead in life faster.
Yes.
And so that is where the D Ray Freeman model came from. We tackle economy, we tackle learning, community, and health. And in each of those areas, we want to be able to move the needle in such a way that we see a scaled change across the community of Black people. The same as we would do in any corporation to make change across tens or thousands of people, broadly spread across a large corporation.
Yeah, Ray, one of the things that I love about this model is you have personally lived it, right? You have personally applied it into your own life, right? I mean, you wrote a book about it, didn't you?
Most definitely. In 2014, I did publish a book. It's titled "Agile Changed My Life."
Yes.
Here, my big old head on
That's
a
handsome photo, man. Look at that photo. That's a great photo. That's a power shot.
A lot less of this. They told me I gotta stop using that picture because this guy is way younger than this guy you see in front of you. But yeah, man, but the title of the book is Agile Changed My Life, and the tagline is How to Manage the Chaos of Life and Career with Agility.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to just how I've used the values and principles of Agile in a more personal way to accelerate value in my own life and the lives of those around me. And so the book just details how I did that. And that's really the same thing that I use in my professional life. When I go to a corporation and they ask me, how do we accelerate value faster, right? How do we get to market faster? How do we gel better and create a better culture as a community? And elements of Agile always come into that, or frameworks of Agile always help to get to that. So I use that personally. And around my immediate environment, you see a lot of Kanban boards and a lot of just places where I take notes and keep things up in places. So that's something that I advise people to do. Take notes and write things down and just keep them somewhere where you can see them on a regular basis. And have some lanes of what things are in progress and what things are done. And like what I do is the little fun thing I talk about in the book too is I actually bottle them up. It's an old liquor bottle. It's a cool liquor bottle.
That's awesome.
So as I get done, and I just shove all the notes in here, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of sticky notes in these bottles. And then sometimes I'll have them etched or noted of what year. Like this bottle was the writing of the book and the eventual publishing of the book. Like all the work I had to do to come in, both professional and personal, all went into here. So when I hold this, I think about all the long nights and the challenges and the, oh, I want to give up. Oh, this is never going to work. Like this represents all that I bottled up and was able to conquer that. And now it's
cool.
a trophy on my shelf,
So 2014, that bottle says 2014. So that was a big year for you, Ray.
This was a big year. I had a lot of growth that year. The year before, actually, in 2013, on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
My brother actually he committed suicide on that day, and so he, we lost him that day, and it was a really tough time for myself, my family, and so I took that grief, that pain, that hurt that I was feeling, that anger. It's very different when a family member takes their own life versus when they pass away from a disease or an accident. It's a very different feeling that the family members are left with. And it's something that takes a recovery period. So what I used to cope and to recover was Agile, and and the frameworks of Agile being like the Scrum or the Kanban. So I could really focus on what was in progress at one time and not have so much on my mind at one time. And I wanted to express that and to show how I was using this methodology to not only get through a tough time, but to better myself, at the exact same time. And I put it all into the book. I wrote all of that down and put it all into the book. That's really what it's about. It's me expressing how I used Agile to change my life for the better and to teach others how they can do the same.
Yeah, I resonate with that a lot, Ray. I mean, if I reflect on how I grew up and the struggles of, my mom got cancer when I think I must have been about 15 at the time, and it was a period of time in Australia where we were just recovering from a really deep recession, right? In 1989, 1990 recession. So my dad had to go back to work, back to Malaysia to work full time. So that whole period we just had mom and she had cancer, and it was just a really tough time for me to focus. Reflecting on what I know about Agile now, I think intuitively that's what I was applying, right? How do I pivot? How do I continue to pick myself up a bit at a time rather than stressing over the weight of how do we recover from this and never doing anything about it, right? So a lot of what you talk about and your model, giving us a way forward from the current situation today in society, makes a lot of sense to me, Ray.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. You never know if something is just you that's feeling that way, or if other people are feeling that way. And it's always good to meet people who can resonate with what you're saying, and it just kind of makes us even closer. I appreciate you saying that. I really do.
Awesome, Ray. Look, I run Tribe. As you know, what Tribe is a platform for, it's a community, right? It's a community of contractors who we, Adaptovate and Tribe, put onto agile ways of working jobs all around the world. Okay. So Ray, from your perspective, I'm curious to understand, how do you see Tribe, a community or contractor platform, how can we help um, Black Lives Matter or independent contractors in general?
Well, that's interesting. I really like what Tribe is doing, and being able to partner with contractors and to help put them in positions with companies that they may have never been able to connect with before,
Yes.
and possibly do types of work that they never would have been able to do before.
Yes.
Yeah, I think about my own roots as a contractor. You know, this is how I started out. For me, I did not have an Ivy League education or a great set of credentials that I could go to a big five firm and get hired right away. That was, it just wasn't gonna happen. But I had a lot of training, I had a lot of mentors, and I had done the work hands-on for years. So, and then a slew of certifications. I was qualified to do the work, but the only thing that allowed me to do it was being able to contract, because I could hire myself. I could set my own hiring standards, and I was qualified for my hiring standards.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when I would go out and contract with companies and I would do a really good job, I'd get recommended to other companies. And that recommendation was higher than any credential that I could have had, or that some of my competitors had.
Yes.
You know, there's competitors who had much better credentials than I had, but because I had done a good job for someone else at another company as a contractor, they were like, I want Ray to do the job. I want Ray in. So it allowed me to work in places that would normally never hire me, or I would be in places that would never ever bring me on for whatever reason. And it was difficult for me to continue to climb the ladder, because my little company of just myself, my wife, and I have one other business partner, we were not able to sustain the scale that some of my clients were needing. If a client says we need 10 more coaches on the ground, Ray, in the next 2 weeks, well, my little company, I couldn't go hire 10 coaches and float their salary for 60 days for each one of them. There's no way I could have made that, to do that. However, if I had the backing of a much larger company who also had interest in that client's success,
Yes.
They could help me to scale, and they could even pull from a community of people who have already been vetted and have the quality that is expected of that company, and be able to go into that vendor and not only do a great job as a contractor and to boost your own capability in the market, but also to have additional capabilities at that client provided by a back-end provider. And I really see that's the true benefit of Tribe, of being there to be that strength, that back end that your client needs additional resources, additional team members, and wants to scale right away. We can help to scale, and we have a community of very qualified contractors in the community that we've worked with and vetted, that we can bring into those engagements, and are not having to just pull from the world wide web of contractors that are out there, but we have a community that we know the quality of them, and can pass that same quality of standards along to our clients. It makes contractors better, and it's really a great thing for Tribe to do. I'm glad to be involved with it, because I think it does help the community, because there are a lot of minority contractors out there who may not even know about contracts that are available with larger providers or larger companies, and may never have the advertising capital or the conduits to get past procurements and all the RFPs and things that you have to get to that level of work. Tribe can provide that for those people and be a really great resource in a lot of different communities. And by having a relationship with the D Ray Freeman model, I'll be able to introduce the offerings of Tribe to an entire genre of people who may not have even heard of it before, or even known that they can elevate their skills through autonomy to learn skills that would be valuable as a contractor to go out and serve a client and build your career and your capabilities. You know, it's a great partnership, man.
Oh, that sounds spot on, Ray. I mean, that's what we're aspiring to become globally. And look, Tribe is still a new business in a lot of ways, right? We just started in January, pre-COVID. COVID has taken us in a bit of a journey as to, you know, who are we, what are we, how are we going to do it? And certainly it was born out of the strong foundations that ADAPTOVATE has built in agility to help us grow, right? Look, Ray, I look forward to continuously collaborating with you on Tribe, because I really do want to be an active participant, or just an entity, a person to help out and to make a difference. You know what I mean? So,
Awesome.
yeah, a big part of what we do in Tribe, of course, Ray, is about a big part of what we do in Agile is a recognition of cultural understanding, right? Because solving problems in an organization is so specific to that organization's culture, right? So people with the inherent skills and innate, ability to understand, listen, empathize with a particular company's culture and problems is a mark of, you know, how agility is in, you know, is in practice, right? So can you talk to me a bit about the point on minority contractors, as you mentioned before? How specifically, what are some of the ideas that you've got that could help us elevate this further through Tribe?
You know, in many communities, there's not much awareness of jobs like Scrum Master. You know, I think about when I was, you know, back doing project management, it was a while before I was even exposed to, there's a Scrum, what is that?
Yeah. I mean, Scrum, the word Scrum comes from the rugby game, right? Originally, which is not played all around the world, is it? I mean, a lot of places, yes, but no.
Exactly. Most of us in the U.S. and especially for my community, we would have no idea what rugby is, or have never seen a rugby match to understand what the scrum or the huddle is that the term comes from. Let alone to understand that that's a very valuable job that a person can qualify for and get good at delivering in very little time. It doesn't take, you know, decades and decades to become very proficient at being a Scrum Master. So these are things that a person can learn and even practice themselves. Like you can practice Scrum with your family and have you know, boards and iterations and sprint plannings. Believe me, I've tried it with my wife. It works. You can make it happen. You know, there's things you can do to become more proficient and use those personal learnings to benefit your career. So when I talk about tools to get ahead in life faster, there's still people who are thinking, wow, I'm going to go and learn some certifications and learn how to, you know, physically work on computers, which is great. We definitely need people to do those jobs, but there are people who just may not know that in the same amount of time that they can go to learn to do a job that's, you know, an hourly rate, small hourly rate type of job, that they could learn something that could elevate their career to the next level. I mean, the Scrum Master roles in some of the companies that need Scrum Masters, they pay a nice rate for those roles. They're attractive positions. And when I was working as a Scrum Master, many times I would be the only Black person in the company or in the department. And then when I would talk to my peers about, I'm doing Scrum Master work, they wouldn't know what that is, or Agile coaching work, they wouldn't know what that is. And I felt the same way. Like when I was younger and I didn't know about a lot of different jobs, and someone enlightened me about different roles that existed within companies of business analysts and different types of developers and software that you could learn. And it taught me to become really niche minded of finding things that I could learn distinctly that could land me in better positions in life. It's that hustle, man. It's that going after it, of seeing where a need exists and then being able to elevate your skills and capabilities to fill that need, and then raise your hand. I can do it. I can fill that role.
Yeah.
And you show that proficiency, and that's what people are looking for.
Yeah.
That's how I've elevated my career, by hustling, by being out there every day and raising my hand saying, I can do it.
Yes.
And then when I do it, I'm good at it. So they say, oh yeah, he's good, come back again. And that's my career. That's why I'm an executive at a management consulting company, because of that attitude.
Yeah. And we've got Mama to thank for that, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Never forgetting Mama, right? Look, man, this has been a bliss, Ray. We have spoken about agility to help us personally in our personal lives. We have spoken about the relationship between that to the current events of Black Lives Matter. And we have spoken about agility in terms of it's a profession, right? It's a skill. And when you spoke about the expertise, part of education before as one of your 4 pillars, Agile is it's a way forward, right? It's an option, right? So it has been such a fruitful conversation, Ray. Thank you very much for your time, but any closing remarks from you for our audience out there?
Well, I mean, as usual, of course, if you like what you've heard, to please click like and subscribe. We always like those kind of things, because we were always building our channel and our people to come and join us. And just things in the future. There's more growth coming out. I'm launching a podcast. It's going to be called Thriving Culture, and it's just to kind of highlight people who are doing things and really exhibiting that mindset and showing how they're using the different tools and techniques to get ahead in life faster. So I'll be interviewing people and showing what they're doing. And as part of the community aspect, I have people to share their tools with others. So, we can all help one another to accelerate. There's enough out there for everybody. We don't have to knock anyone down for us to go up. So we can all work together to accelerate and expand. And I really got some great things coming out in the future, and really looking forward to working more with Tribe and of course our good friends at ADAPTOVATE, and to be able to continue to bring agility to the world wherever it needs to help people, man. And just excited to be on this road, bro, and to have you in the conversations that we've had and the passion that you bring to it, man. I'm with the right people. I'm so excited for where the future is headed.
Thank you so much, Ray. I'm really looking forward to working with you more and more, Ray, as well. Okay, thank you everyone for your time. Watch this space from both the D Ray Freeman Model as well as Tribe. I think it's some exciting times coming up. Thank you very much, Ray.
Thank you, Sean.